Julie Coker is the head of New York City Tourism and Conventions. Marcus Samuelsson is one of the city's top chefs and a television personality in his own right. And I'm a huge fan, by the way. We came here to talk about the fact that you are lobbying New York City to give you more money in the tourism budget to help you. So my question is, why do you need the extra money and what would you spend it on?
Sure. Great question, and thank you for having us. Last year in 2025, we were fortunate to host close to 65 million visitors. 12.5 million of those visitors were international. So my first thing is international visitors come, they stay longer, they spend more. And so even though they are only 20% of the 65 million, their visitor spend is 50% of our total spend.
But why do you need more money from the city? Like, to attract them? Are there ads? Are there, I mean, you know, you'd think that people would want to come to New York because it's such a great place.
Absolutely. And so what I would say is there's no problem with awareness from domestically and internationally of where New York City is. What we have to understand is that the landscape is very competitive, so we've got to be able to message them. We're in a time right now where the international visitor, their sentiment of the U.S. and also of New York City isn't ideal, so we've got to continue to push out stories of why they should come, that a walk across Brooklyn Bridge is still the same. So to be able to market to them in their language, in their country, but then also to be able to talk to them domestically. The other side of this is to drive the right visitor to New York City. And that means a high value visitor that is able to explore all 5 boroughs. So for example,
and spend money at Marcus's
I mean, tourism is a major part for us, hospitality, right? Think about, there's a big business. So think about Broadway, $12 billion a year. That can't dip. It's very important that that stays the same or goes higher. For us as restaurants and small businesses, we are still feeling it post-COVID. A lot of businesses have not come back. So tourism is a key part. Tourism is a key part for us to do really, really well. And, you know, New York is the most exciting place on earth. And you have to remind people that we are welcoming, we want you back, because the messaging, just like Julia said, about coming to America has been all over the place for the last, for a couple, you know, the last years or so.
So, I mean, the question, I guess, is like, how many people that come to your restaurants are actually tourists, as opposed to people who know how wonderful Red Rooster and your other places are and they want to come?
It is, you know, as New York, right, it's a melting pot, and you get the New Yorkers, and you get the visitors, and you get the tourists. And I would say visitors can be from Pennsylvania, Ohio, nearby, right? And then the tourists, which are here, they're staying in hotels a little bit longer. They are visiting. And when you come to New York, it's not just Manhattan. We want you out in Queens. We want you in Brooklyn. We want you to see the entirety of our city. And I think the tourism is really all about driving those visitors around the city to many places and spend and be part and enjoy the city.
Has it been difficult to attract international visitors because of the immigration things that have been going on, ICE raids and things like that, visa questions? Is that a problem for you guys?
Absolutely. There's a number of things that go into it, but certainly overall perception of the United States, including New York, is definitely not at a good place right now. We have to continue to remind them why they want to come to New York City. Then you couple that also too with currency fluctuation, the geopolitical tensions, the visa waiver challenges. All of those things make it even more difficult. The other thing, to your point of why, is we're talking about a baseline budget of $23.1 million that has remained stagnant for 2 decades. That is not
2 decades?
2 decades, 2006.
What
So
stays stagnant? What would a cab ride be? Like, just think about anything. Like, nothing stays for 2 decades the same.
Say you got an extra $10 million.
Where do we sign?
What would you spend? What would you spend it on? I mean, what would this money buy?
Yeah.
And how would you convince taxpayers that they're getting the best bang for the buck for that $10 million?
Sure. I can very easily say that it is an investment and not an expense. And the reason why I say that is because our industry supports 400,000 jobs. 79% of workers in our industry industry are in outer boroughs. So we're putting money in people's pocket every time a visitor comes. The other thing that I would say is last year, $7.8 billion of local and state taxes came from visitors, which then allows the city to do all the things that residents enjoy, whether it's cleaning up garbage or schools or what have you. We do have very strategic sales and marketing programs, so we could expand into other markets. We could also expand our domestic efforts. Right now, it's more of just digital. We don't have any commercials that we're doing, so we really need to go deeper. But then also, too, we want to get people, as Marcus said, to all 5 boroughs. And the way that you do that is consistent, long-term, sustainable funding, and you have to keep telling your message.
But are you going to be spending this money here in the United States, or would you spend it abroad? And if so, which countries would you try to attract to come here?
Absolutely. We would do a mixture of both, both domestic, because you think about that high-value traveler, so whether you're talking about the West Coast, Chicago, Atlanta, but also, too, that international visitor, again, is responsible for 50% of the spend. So we would look at the top markets like UK, China, Colombia, Brazil is an emerging market. Those that will come spend their money all over all 5 boroughs.
And people want to be part of a party. Think about it, right? This spring of the New York Knicks has been amazing, and it's being broadcasted all over the world. And now you're going straight into the World Cup. So people want to come to New York. It's just a very competitive market, and you just want to stay in front of people.
One of the things that I was struck by when I was doing some research was the fact that the number of hotel rooms has dramatically decreased this year compared to 2024. Was that because they used the hotels for asylum seekers, or is it just a decrease because you can't get the people to work in those jobs?
No, definitely. We are still ramping back up from COVID. And as you recall, there were a number of hotels that were used for shelter places. And so those are starting to come back online. We're also starting to see some investments in some of the hotels. So some of them are renovating existing properties. And so their inventory might be fluctuating. But we definitely have a strong workforce. And I know Marcus can speak to that as well, to support tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, there are controllables, certain things you cannot control, but what we have to do collectively is to make it as easy and as simple as possible to come to New York, right? Because people want to come to our city worldwide. And there are new markets. Think about India, think about other places that maybe didn't tourist all the way to America before, now are coming. So there's a lot of emerging markets, and we have to be there, and we have to show up and show that we are welcoming, because it might be a new market for that part of the world.
Have businesses, small businesses like yours, had trouble attracting people to work in the industry?
No, I think there will always be a big workforce looking for jobs, and you just got to be attractive to that. I like to think about my business as not a small business, because it's the only business that we have as a family. And I think most restaurants, to the 22,000 in New York, this is a small business per se, but it's their only business. So it's a big business in that family. And we employ so many people with the largest sectors of employers. And I think a city with vibrant hospitality community will help attract tourists as well. So it's a big part.
We're going to have to leave it right there for now, but our conversations continue right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. We are back with Julie Coker and Marcus Samuelsson. So my next question is this: who are we competing with? Are there other cities in the United States? Are we competing with Paris and Athens and places like that?
Absolutely. We're doing both. We're competing, if you think about it from a domestic standpoint, you think about Vegas, you think about Boston, you think about Boston.
Oh, come on.
You know?
I know. Exactly. I'm with you. Come on, we're really competing with Boston? Yeah, I love it.
But you think about Boston and Chicago and certainly Orlando.
Yeah.
Those are high visitation numbers. But then also, too, internationally, London, Paris, Lisbon. Folks definitely have choices.
So make your best argument for why they should come to New York and not London, Paris, Athens.
Because we got the Knicks and we got the World Cup final here, and everybody wanted to be part of good vibes. So
right.
Yes.
That's right.
Marcus, I want to ask you, how has the landscape changed for you in the restaurant industry, and how are you adapting?
Yeah. Well, you have to pivot and adapt, right, in any business. And I remember, being here post 9/11, we had to adapt and pivot. After the financial downturn in 2008, we have to adapt and pivot. And of course, COVID was the next big one. So, you know, it's people still want to go out and dine. People
Do you
love.
have to change your menus? You have to do it cheaper?
To do all of
You
it.
have to, what do you
well,
have
it's
to
not
do?
so much cheaper. It's people are looking for value, but people are also looking for. When you are out dining, you want a theatrical experience. Eating, people can do at home, but dining is something else. So for us as chefs and restaurateurs, make it a fabulous experience. Otherwise, people can order in today much better than they could do before, right? It's
Yes, they
easier.
can.
So you have to make it a great experience.
So what's the role of influencers in driving people to your restaurants and to hotels and other tourism places in New York?
Oh, it plays a big part in our marketing strategy, and we're very careful to make sure that the following of those influencers are the customers and visitors that we want in New York City. But certainly, as Marcus said, just visually seeing the atmosphere of a restaurant, seeing the inside of a hotel, certainly our cultural attractions. We lean very heavily into Broadway as well, because that is a big driver for New York City. You can still only see a Broadway show on Broadway in New York City.
And do the experiences, go to that
Absolutely.
restaurant pre or post, right? Go to Times Square and take those pictures,
Yes.
right?
So-
So it's really important. And also the point about influencers, right? It is borderless, right? So that influencer can have impact on someone sitting in Europe, sitting in Africa, sitting in South America, and this is the reason why they come to New York.
So when you're doing your menu, do you ever think about, I'm going to do this dish because I can get some influencer here
No.
who's going to say, oh my God, I just had the...
Yeah, it could be so-and-so, right? But for me, it's about you want to be relevant and have impact. And once iPhone and the cameras and the picture got better and better, it transformed dining, right? So today, people might see you for the very first time and experience you in their sofa at home through scrolling through the phone, right? So yes, when we shoot the food, it has to be lit right. We didn't have to think about that before, but that's part of everything. You have to evolve, right? And I just think that you can't have a marketing strategy in a restaurant today and not thinking about how does it end up looking on the phone. It's part of what your strategy today.
So Julie, how does our tourism budget in New York compare with other cities like Las Vegas, you mentioned, or Orlando and places like that?
And I'll use one word, dismal. And I say
Dismal?
that, dismal. I really do. I say that. We have 127,000 hotel rooms. And those cities like Los Angeles with 110,000 rooms are at a budget of close to $100 million.
What?
And
So
then-
they're 4 times more than ours?
Absolutely. Our budget is smaller than Boston. So as we just talked about.
And we don't want to go to Boston.
You know what I mean? So, and then if you look at Orlando and what they're spending close to $150 million.
Wow.
Las Vegas is in a league of its own.
Are
but
they
they're close
spending
to-
it abroad? Or are they spending it here?
They're spending it on key markets, emerging markets internationally, because they do have a strong international visitation if you think about Disney World. But then they're also spending it domestically, very much so.
So I have a sneaking suspicion that if you went to the city council and to the mayor and you said we now need more money, that they would come back with you and say, well, we do spend money on cultural institutions and things like that. Shouldn't that count into the pot of money we spend to try to get people to come here? You would say yes or no?
I would say you should definitely continue to support our cultural attractions because they have amazing products, but those products are only as good as the story that we can tell. And the only way that we can tell that story is through marketing efforts. So it has to be a combination, and I'm going to call it an investment in both. It has to be investment in the cultural attraction, and it also has to be an investment in the storytelling, and that's marketing.
I mean, this is the easiest yes. There's no two sides on this. We're going to go in and we're going to get this money because we need it, because it's for New York City. And it benefits everybody,
I mean,
right?
I was really astonished when you said that the budget hasn't increased in forever.
Yeah.
But let me ask
2
you this.
decades,
How
2006.
do you come up with the ideas for how you promote New York?
You know, we lean into the pillars of what makes us New York. So we always look at inclusiveness. We always look at diversity, inclusion, and the fact that it's welcoming. So we look at those stories that can be told through attractions, through restaurants, through hotels, through Broadway, and through our exciting venues. So whether we're talking about Empire State, the fact that we have 5 observatories in New York City, the fact that we've got 5 boroughs each with a different personality, vibe, excitement to them. So we lean into the DNA of New York City, but it always goes back to the people.
You know what's so unique with New York, right? Most other cities are maybe 1 or 2 city industries. We have 5, 6, 7 different industries, like Broadway and fashion, food and finance. There's all these things. When you think about Vegas or you think about even Orlando, we get what the first industry is, right? But in New York have so many, and I think that's such an important story to tell.
So are there neighborhoods outside New York City, I mean outside Manhattan, that you think you can drive the tourism dollar to, and what are the reasons to do that?
Sure. I think Brooklyn obviously is just an amazing city and could be the 3rd largest city if it were its own, and we certainly support their efforts. But when I think about Staten Island, and when I think about Queens and certainly Bronx, they have their fair share of tourism, of tourists. However, to be able to tell those hidden gem stories, that amazing restaurant or that small-owned, bar or an attraction like Snug Harbor that we all know about, but is not widely known throughout the world and throughout the U.S.
And you need New Yorkers to keep telling those stories. Like all New Yorkers knows that Queens is the best food boroughs, right? That's something that New Yorkers actually think about and know, and they tell their cousins. So those are the stories to tell. And then think about you have a new soccer stadium coming to Queens. You have the casino in Queens now, right? So these boroughs are really working hard on building content to make it more attractive.
You talked about the World Cup.
Yes.
What's the biggest attraction to the World Cup, and how will we benefit from the World Cup? How will the tourism industry?
Because it's the world. I love when you have the Super Bowl and all the American events, and it's only American team. This is the world, which is fabulous.
Yes.
So,
yes.
My last question is this. You talked about the hidden gems that we have in New York. I want each one of you to give me one hidden gem that we can leave our viewers with.
Oh, my goodness. Marcus, you go first.
You can pick 2 or 3.
Listen, I can tell you, I love Queens. I think that the best Chinatown is in Queens, for example, Flushing, Queens. The fact that go to Staten Island, the birthplace of Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? There's so many. Go to the Bronx and go to the museum or the birthplace of hip-hop. There's talk about hidden gems. The biggest music pop culture in the world is hip-hop, and it comes from the Bronx. Go and check it out. It's amazing.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm going to go with our botanical gardens. I think they
so
are
sophisticated. Like, I'm out here with Wu-Tang, and you're like, come on now.
I did. I went there. Right? I went there, right?
I love it.
But I do. I'm going to go with the botanical gardens because I think it's just absolutely amazing. And I think those are the stories that are just untold.
And those are both in the Bronx and Brooklyn.
Yes.
How do you like that?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, thank you both for joining me, and thank you at home for joining us as well.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It was great.
Nice.